tell me your name and what brought you into the disability community.
Yes, my name is Daniel Windheim, and I was a passenger in a car accident. My friends and I went on July 3rd, 1979. We went to see fireworks in Piermont, New York, and we were drinking beers and having fun, watching the fireworks. And after the fireworks, we were driving upstate to hang out at the Lake Sebago, Lake Welch, and light off fireworks. But we never made it. We actually were in a car accident on 9W up by Rockland Lake.
Wow. So, when you first went into the disability community, when I learned in disability studies, I learned about simulating and how she got in a car accident too, and she got paralyzed. And it went through a process of... Did you go through the same process like Simi Linton, like with how when Simi went through her accident and she got paralyzed from the waist down, she was in the hospital and she was having a hard time, and then she met... Was there a group of people that are disabled that you met in the hospital like Simi, or is it a little different than that?
Oh, I think it might have been different.
Mm-hmm.
This was 1979.
Yeah.
And, being in the hospital, I was in a coma for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And my friends and family rallied around me. They came to visit, and they were all worried if I would survive. And they really rallied around each other and cheered me on and talked to me, which is very important after a brain injury, that you speak with the person in the coma. I mean, people think, oh, he's in a coma. He can't hear you.
Of course, he can hear.
Yes, you are very alert to what's going on. Not very alert, but you're sensitive to what's going on around you. And this was a huge part of the healing process.
Yeah, speaking of comas, when my grandma was in the irreversible coma, diabetic coma, I was talking in her ear, but they said that she couldn't ever come out of the coma. So I guess she was able to hear me.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's
a little different.
Well, that must have been very comforting to your grandma.
Yeah.
I mean, if she knew, this was Jason, my Jason boy. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And for me, while I was in a coma, everything happened in dreams. Like it was a constant dream. What was happening around me happened in dreams to me. One of my dreams was my sister and I were in a car in an accident and were in the hospital, and I felt that I was in hell. I felt like they're burning my feet, and this might have been, occupational therapy might have hurt when they were doing things. Having me walk might have been similar. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah. So do you consider yourself a religious or spiritual person?
Oh, I'll be honest. Growing up, I was the only child in my family to go to temple and get bar mitzvah. My brother and sister didn't follow it, but I felt I had to do this.
Yeah.
And I went and I got bar mitzvah, and I actually went to Hebrew high school.
Where?
Where? Or
Which school?
oh, at the Temple Beth Torah on Line W.
Oh, cool.
But actually, once I was there for a year, I didn't follow it and I dropped out. But I was proud. I gave it a shot. Yes.
That's cool.
But no, I'm not a religious person. But like most people, I feel I'm spiritual and in touch with God or the spirits. Yes.
Like, I have another question I was thinking about was, when after your accident, how long did it take you to realize about there was a disability rights movement?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, you asked disability right. Actually, I did start going to the Rockland Independent Living Center, like right away, as a volunteer. They were in Spring Valley on Route 45, and I volunteered at the center, and I became very aware of what was going on. So basically right away. Yes.
Cool. So what do you think about the Centers for Independent Living?
Yes, I feel that they are a huge part of the community, and they do give back a great deal, and they help the disabled community quite a bit. And back when I was first injured, it wasn't like it is today. There wasn't much known. But there was a small part of society that took part in the center, volunteering, going to groups, and I enjoyed it very much. I did.
So, did you ever have did you go to college, or did you?
That's a good question. Well, right after my injury, I was only 16, and I went back to high school. And I ended up graduating with my class, and then I started college like right away. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh, wow.
And
What's your major?
Psychology.
Nice.
And I went there for 2 years, and then I transferred to another college. I wanted to experiment with living away from home. And I went to Hofstra.
Oh, wow.
Yes, which
Did you like Hofstra?
which was very, very difficult school.
Mm-hmm.
And they really didn't share or didn't help me with what the needs I needed. And my grades suffered, and I flunked out.
Mm.
And I needed to transfer.
Yeah. So why did you transfer?
After a half year at Hofstra, I ended up going to Southampton.
Oh, LAU.
Yes. And the work was a lot better, a lot easier, I was able to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as competitive. And I really enjoyed the social aspects.
The social?
Yes.
What about the social aspects?
Oh, I got very involved with hanging out with people, partying, and getting in trouble. Yes.
Doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that song.
Yeah.
Doing what you want to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who sings that.
Yeah.
That was
I forget who sings it too.
That was a song in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Do what you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how long was I just lost my question. That's why I probably should have written it down.
Yes.
Because it's supposed to be a conversation. So a lot of times I notice that questions sometimes aren't said in the right order and stuff like that.
Yes. Were you gonna ask how long I stayed at Southampton?
Yeah, how long did you stay there?
Well, I transferred in the spring of '80,
Mm-hmm.
and I stayed there for the spring, and then the next fall, and then I was forced to transfer again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I actually went back to my original school,
You did?
which was St. Thomas,
Wow.
which I stayed and ended up graduating.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah. I was very happy.
That was good.
So it took me 6 years to get through college.
It took me 5.
Yes, but it was something I'm proud I stuck with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Actually, it took me about 6 years too.
yes, it's important for people, anyone, but especially someone with a disability, not to get discouraged
Mm-hmm.
if they fail at first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep going,
Yeah.
and if you don't make it here, try this,
Yeah.
try that, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my motto.
Yeah.
Keep trucking.
Keep trucking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, my next question is when you graduated from college, what made you pursue becoming a media professional and doing radio shows?
Yes. Another very good question. Actually, when I first got out, I had jobs, lost jobs,
Mhm.
had lost, and it was very frustrating. And I felt like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I would say, doing the audio or radio program isn't my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually attended a brain injury program in New York City called the Rusk Brain Injury Program.
Mm-hmm.
And they saved me. I was frustrated, felt like a failure, I was depressed, and I was at the end of my rope.
Mm-hmm.
This program, they were run on 3 prongs.
Prongs?
Awareness, compensation, and acceptance.
Awareness, compensation, and acceptance.
Then the first prong, awareness, that was basically easy.
Mm-hmm.
To become aware that you have limitations and you're different and you had this injury. So I grasped that pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And compensation was they had exercises where they taught you skills, like video skills, like you were videoed with a coach and you were videotaped and you had to formulate a structure, a program, and write things down. That's very important. Write things down. And, keep lists. And don't stray from your list. And always refer to what you wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
And your delivery. And to coaching. You have coaches. Like this young woman is your coach.
Yes.
She gives you feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you use use what she says, or at least you take in consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the third prong was acceptance.
Acceptance.
And acceptance is a huge word.
They say that a lot now.
Yes. And for me, acceptance, I'll never accept what my situation. I'll never really say I'm okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
But I make do with what I have.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh.
That was mine.
That
was mine.
Oh,
okay. Oh, I think it's my phone too. It's all of our phones.
Yes.
so
And-
when you say,
So when you say what?
so I was gonna ask him. So when you say, accept, the ability to accept, like, your limitations. Is that what you mean? Like that prong was the ability to be able to accept what you could no longer do, or what you could do, or this is what you can do, and maybe you can't do any more. Like, you can't maybe play basketball, but you can maybe coach basketball, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so is that like what they would taught you?
Oh, I would say it's to take your own abilities and to say, maybe I can't be a pro basketball player,
Right.
but I can do it for fun,
Okay.
Yeah.
right? So it's coming to grips
Mhm.
with who you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, speaking of the 3 prongs that you learned in that program, was it awareness, compensation, and acceptance?
Yes.
Now, when you think about those things, when it comes to other disabilities, right? like that are born disabilities, how come? What do you see the difference between how they treat people who are born with disability versus like your disability?
Yeah, I think that's another great question.
I think the way they treat your disability is a little bit better with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
the prong approach.
Interesting. Because I guess people think I was born like this,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't make a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very hard on myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't give myself a break.
Right.
And that's my worst pitfall, is that I don't give myself a break.
Mm-hmm.
We always our worst enemy. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So how long were you a board member of the Independent Living Center in Rockland?
Actually, I never worked there. I was a volunteer.
Oh, were you a board member, I thought?
Yes.
How long were you a board member for?
Oh, I would say it was 8 years.
8 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, at first I was a regular board member, and I helped with fundraising, and I helped with getting the word out, and I feel I really did a lot of great things, and it was very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And I met people, and it was fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Awesome.
Yes.
And a couple more questions. So when you were when you became disabled, and then you learned about your disability, and you went to school, you failed a little bit, you succeeded, and you found your radio program. You went to board member, Independent Living Center. So, and you said that you still would never feel comfortable with yourself, right?
Yes.
Because of your disability. Is that a lot of people with traumatic brain injury?
Oh, another very interesting
Yeah.
point. Actually, I feel that many disabled people who acquire their disability, they either accept it or they don't accept it,
Mm-hmm.
or they accept themselves or they don't accept. It's like strange. It's like black or white.
Mm-hmm.
Either you do or you don't, and I don't most of the time.
And that's okay. That's okay.
But that's very difficult to live with.
It is. Like, in the autistic community, I find that it's also break even like that too. There's a lot of autistic people that don't accept their autism. But there's some people that do, but I don't think the people that do really do. I think they just say it because it's like a flowery statement.
Yes.
You know? Do you agree with that? The flowery statement?
Yes, I think white news mean that this is what they're supposed to say.
Yeah.
That, and I do feel most in society, people out there, no one likes someone who's angry
No.
or who's not accepting life
Mm-hmm.
or who's always pushing the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like people who don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who likes to rock the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my purpose.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Do you think the fact that you've developed, or that you weren't born with a disability, but you got it, do you think that made you the person that you are, like the one that likes to rock the boat? Or before your disability, do you think you were one of those people who just went along with everything?
Well,
Sorry.
no, when I was 16, that's still kind of young, but being 16 and being, quote, like you had said, a freak, right? That's, you get very angry.
Yeah.
And you act out. And I did a lot of that. And it was so difficult to get by. I mean, people treated me like, oh, he's a freak.
Oh, okay. This
You
was
know,
after your accident.
Yeah. And people didn't,
Because people don't really understand disability.
yeah, especially 1979.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was right around the time that they're taking everyone out of Willowbrook. And
Yes.
Letchworth.
That's right.
Yeah. And and when I met other friends of mine with traumatic brain injury, some of them have more mild brain injuries and some of them are more severe. And it's interesting how they kind of like, they mix with, sometimes you don't know if it's a person born disability too, you know what I mean?
True. Yes.
Because a lot of people with cerebral palsy can speak like they have traumatic brain injury as well.
Yes. And I imagine cerebral palsy, in a way, is a brain injury. Yeah, I think it's, yes, so it's, I guess people are people. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you have a favorite sitcom growing up?
oh, exactly, I did.
You did?
When I was a kid, of course, I would, like, Happy Days and Vernon Shirley and
I love that show too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Archie and All in the Family, and
Did you find there was some kind of like movie or TV show after your injury that kind of like helped you in any way?
after the injury.
And before the injury?
Yes, well, humor is so important, especially after an injury. I mean, life is too tough. I mean, get over it, baby.
Yeah.
Right?
So what was your favorite show after your injury?
Well, right after, I did like Three's Company.
Yeah, Three's Company.
Yes.
Yeah, for some reason you're right. Humor
Yes.
Humor gets people going more.
Oh, it does. No one, like you said, no one likes an angry guy,
No.
but everyone likes. And
Funny guy. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, if you don't laugh, it's not okay for other people to laugh. But if you laugh, they can laugh. But you don't want to be laughed at.
No.
But if you laugh, then you give them permission. Then it's okay to laugh.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. But so many times, I mean, for me at least, people laugh at me, point, laugh.
Stare.
Yeah, exactly.
People stared at me too.
Yes.
But the more people look different, the more people stare. Look. And what are you doing, a staring contest? People are thinking.
Do you still get that? The staring and the
I do.
pointing? Do you?
But you have to come to a point in you where you know who you are. And they're looking, not because they're being mean, or they're inquisitive, right?
Trying to understand.
They see something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're okay with yourself, that won't bother you. But a lot of times I'm not okay with myself, and it does get to me.
Mm-hmm. That's important to not like get to you, but I think it's like a process, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I find though that one of the things when learning from people is that we learn from each other's mistakes and rewards. You know what I mean? Whatever people do, like an autistic person like myself will not know certain things, and it seems like when you had that accident in 1979
Yes.
in the car crash, that could happen to anyone, and if an autistic person, and I know autistic people that's happened to them too, you know, and then they become more disabled.
Yes.
So what do you think about do you think you're like a role model in helping people learn?
Yeah, good point. Yes, I felt like a role model my whole life, and that kind of maybe puffed me up.
Yeah.
I feel, I'm gonna suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be the not martyr, but I'm gonna be the person that takes the brunt for everyone else. I'm gonna be like a trailblazer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set the standard.
Mm-hmm.
And
did people did you mentor anyone? Or did you feel people mentored you? Did you feel the people feel you mentored them?
both mentor and mentor.
Yeah, mentor.
Yes, I
Sorry.
did. I have mentors. Most of my mentors were, yeah, I do. And I did. Yes, most definitely. I'm trying to think of some.
Mm-hmm.
But at the Independent Living Center, I did role playing, and I did take on roles, from the director at the Independent Living Center,
Mm-hmm.
or...
And he's like your mentor?
Yes.
Cool.
And I feel I've had mentors, like there have been some people who had brain injuries locally. I would go visit them and meet with the families.
That's awesome.
Try to show them what it's like, and that it's not a... Yeah, exactly. And that you can move on. And while doctors said, oh, you'll improve for a year, and then that's it. That's not true.
Yeah.
I've made improvements over my whole life. From when I was 16 to 17. And even today, I see improvements I've made every day. And that's so encouraging.
Yeah.
So life is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
you seem to have a very positive attitude whenever I meet you.
Yes.
Did you always have that?
Yes. Actually, I've always been positive. I've always been involved with the community
Mm-hmm.
and active in sports as a young person, playing Pop Warner football, Little League, and then as high school, 8th grade, 9th grade, going out with girls, having girlfriends,
Mm-hmm.
and friends in general.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Going to parties,
Parties.
going to parties and maybe drinking beers
Yeah.
or sodas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was a regular guy.
Mm-hmm. Just one last question. When you were growing up, did you ever hear the word disability before, and did you ever see disabled people around you?
Great question. Oh, I imagine I must have seen.
Or heard
Well,
of?
When I was young, there weren't, like you just said, disability people who are disabled weren't really out there.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some. So I remember some people being out there going to Joanio, which was one of the first agencies
Mm-hmm.
to service the disabled, Joanio.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge help to the disabled community.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still going. They're a huge part of the community. Not to nix your bridges.
Yeah.
Bridges new and going.
Right.
Well, the Independent Living Center, I was part of them when they first started.
Right.
And look, they're still going.
Yeah.
You're a part of it.
Yep. So how do you see the future of the disability rights movement in the Rockland Independent Living Center bridges?
Yeah, great one. You see, I'm someone who never really liked to look at myself as disabled or even considered myself disabled.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be part of the quote regular society, and I always went and part of and everyone, and it was difficult for me to be considered disabled. I hated it. I denied it.
Do you think things would have been different if you were born disabled?
No, I do.
How different?
Well, in that case, I would have never really known anything else. Even though I was young when I was hurt, I didn't have a glimpse of the non-disabled world.
Mm-hmm.
And I denied being disabled. And it still pains me to this day,
Mm-hmm.
being disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate when people treat me different. I mean, I hate it.
Right.
I've made compensation. I've come to grips with it. But yeah, you were gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, treat you different. Like, for instance, because when we were coming into the room, and as a man, you would say to the lady, you go first, right?
Yeah.
And I think you were trying to do that, and then
Yes.
I said, no, you go.
Right.
So is that like a form of treating you different because I think you needed to go first? Did you feel something like that?
Actually, I didn't, but
Oh.
but I could see where I might have thought that.
Okay.
But I thought you were saying it because this was like my
Thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay.
That's
But
a good question.
I could see how I might have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what was the initial question?
Initial of before. Oh, where do you see the future of the disability rights movement and the Independent Living Center?
Oh, I always, like I was saying, I always felt like I wasn't disabled. And when people said, yes, you are disabled, I felt I didn't really
You're upset.
like the disability movement. I always felt disabled people have to make the world, they have to make their own way. That they have to show or ask for what they need. This is what I need. This is what you could do for me. And not a quote agency or a movement.
What do you feel about in disability studies? I learned a lot about interdependence and support, and the idea that disabled people or people with disabilities some of them can't ask for help. You know what I mean?
True.
So that's why, like, it's this whole thing about interdependence. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that? Does that change your?
Oh, I feel that some people do need the services, which are very important. But I guess it's how much leeway how much freedom do you allow people? Like, what can they do? What can't they do? And with the voice-activated systems, people can talk for themselves. So technology really has helped.
It has.
Yes.
But also the more support families and people give them, the better off it pushes them more.
True.
Because if they don't have the support and they just have whatever, they don't have as much.
Yes. But do you think patience, the society needs to slow down and allow, someone needs a minute or a little while to get their point across. You have to allow them. But it's very difficult because the run-of-the-mill people aren't going to give someone a minute. So it's a really, very difficult.
The last thing we're going to say, can you just say one or two statements, something that, really, just one or two last statements. Where's the wisdom? Pearls of wisdom you learned through the years. One or two things. You get the last word.
Yes, I would say anyone out there, it's easy to get discouraged or turned off. But trust yourself and use your resources. Like you said, the center is a great resource. And don't be too proud to accept help. It's there to help you. It's there for your benefit. And it should be used and rock on.
Is that it?
Yes, I think so.
You.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. Jason, I do have an internet radio program like you, my friend. And it's called Dialogues with Dan. And it's on Rockland World Radio TheamazinJ.com. Dialogues with Dan. Yes.
And what's your website?
Yeah, my website is TBILife.com. Traumatic brain injury. Life. TBILIFE.com. Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
It's a website about brain injury, which I started in the 90s. But since then, I've branched out and now include.
And you're writing a book.
I include all disabilities. So my website is all disabilities, whether it be brain injury, any disability you could think of. Yes, it said, I've written a number of books, which you could find on my website, TBILife.com. Yes, thank you again, Jason.
You're welcome. Thank you.